Welcome to episode 6 of my Swords and Wizardry solo campaign. We're down to one character, and he is trying to make his way to the coast because he is going to sail across the sea to get this scroll somewhere safe. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. Alright, so we are currently at Chaos Factor 6. We're going to test the scene. The scene now is he's left the cave. The goblins are waving goodbye to him, and he is setting out across these plains. I think what we're going to do, I feel like he's going to try and get to this city here. So it seems like it's a bigger city, and maybe he'll be able to find someone to help him, or he'll just be able to lose his pursuers in the city. So we're going to test the expected scene and go from there. So to test the expected scene, we're going to roll a d10. Remember, it's Chaos Factor 6. So if you roll over the Chaos Factor, everything goes as planned, and he continues on his way. Under the Chaos Factor, and we're going to have to see if it's odds or evens. That is a 10. So, no change in the scene. He is going to continue on his way. Now, last we checked, his pursuers were 3 days behind him. So we're going to roll a d4 and see if that is narrowed down. If it comes up as a 4, that means they've lost a day. And the next time we check, it's going to be a d6. 2. They are 2 days behind them. That puts them roughly in this area, one of these hexes probably, or back here. So maybe they're just coming to the edge of the jungle. They'll be coming out soon. But for now, we don't have to worry about that. He is heading off into the unknown, and he is going to travel 3 hexes. Alright, so we are going to roll to see if he gets lost. We're going to roll on the percentage. He's in clear terrain, so he has a 10% chance of getting lost. 10% chance of getting lost. He rolled a 79, so he's not lost. Alright, so 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to go for an encounter. At the end of the day, on a 1, there's an encounter. Rolled a 2, so that is good. There's no encounter. But we're also going to roll. I'm going to roll 3 times to see if he found anything in any of those hexes, if he came across anything. First one, no. Second one, no. And third one, no. Alright, cool. So the first day is done. Or, not for, actually, you know what? I'm going to move him back 1 hex because he traveled through this mountain. I'm going to count it as 1 because I'm going to count it as only 1 hex. Normally I would say, okay, well, that's going to take up 2 hexes. But because the goblins helped him and he found a path through, it's only going to count as 1 hex. Okay, so next day, he's still in clear terrain, so he's got a 10% chance of getting lost. 21, he is not lost. He's going to make his way to that city. 1, 2, 3. Roll for an encounter at the end of the day. 4, actually, let me just mark off 2 days of travel, 2 rations. And did you find anything in those 3 hexes? No, no, no. Alright, so there's a pretty open, clear terrain here. Alright, last hex, or last push towards the city. 10% chance of getting lost. 15, it was close, but he made it. 1, 2, 3, city. Roll for an encounter. A 1. First, so he does have an encounter, but we're going to roll for the other hexes first to see if we found anything. 2, and I'm not going to roll for the last hex because he's in the city. So he is in an urban environment for an encounter, which is not in here. We're going to have to find something else for urban encounters, so we're going to have to take a look at something. Okay, so we're going to use White Box because it has settled column for encounters. So we're just going to go off of that. So we're going to roll a d6. 2 is humanoid. 5. d5. Alright, so we'll roll a d10 and divide by 2. There we go. It's cocked. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So elves. Oh, this might be fortuitous for him. So I think that when he comes to this city, I think he has a vague idea that it's there. He probably, like, maybe he's got like a map of the train, maybe like a rough idea of the train. You probably knew that there was a settlement there, but let's see. We're going to go to our mythic. We're going to go to the mythic chart, and we are going to ask, because I don't know anything about the city yet. I haven't designed it. We're running this completely randomly. Is this an elven city? I'm going to say it's 50-50. We are chaos factor 6, so a 65 or under is a yes. 46, so yes, it is an elven city. So he comes to the gates, and maybe there's guards on the gates, and they bar his way. Well, there. What are you doing here? He says, please, sir, I've come a long way. I am a simple traveler. I just seek a room for the night and a hot meal, and I'll be on my way in the morning. Could you please see to let me in? These elves in ornate armor. Look at themselves. Where are you coming from? The cleric says, or the monk says, I'm a cleric. I come from far off across the mountains, and I'm traveling to the coast. I seek only some shelter for the night. Are they going to let him in? Chaos factor 6. Say it's probably likely, so a 75 or under is a yes. 29, yes, they let him in. All right, on you go. And they let him through the gate. It's dusk, the sun's going down, and he goes looking for somewhere cheap where he can eat, or maybe somewhere where he can trade his gems and get his 1,000 gold. Because remember, he gave all his gold to the goblins. I think he's going to look for a tavern. Does he find a tavern? I think it's probably likely. I'll say it's actually very likely he finds a tavern, so 85 or less. 67, yes, he finds a tavern. Sort of looks in. Is this a nice tavern? I would say 50-50. Could be either. 9. Yes, it's a very nice tavern. So it looks very like well-to-do. Everyone is dressed very nicely. He's just wearing these like sort of dark brown robes that are very dirty. He opens the door, walks in, and everyone just stops and looks at him. And he kind of gets a little self-conscious, walks up to the bar. All these elves kind of walk him. There's a mix of other people in there too, but it's predominantly elvish. He walks up to the bar and says, sir, all I request is a hot meal and a room for the night. I don't have a lot of gold on me, but I do have, and he pulls out one of his gems that he stole from the bandits. And I do have this. He hands it to the bartender. Looks at it. Where did you come by something like this? So it is something I've been carrying with me, and for when I have a need like this, something I could use for payment. The bartender kind of looks at it, holds it up to the light, and all right, this will do. And Quesh says, also, is there somewhere where I could clean up and perhaps, get my clothes washed? And the bartender says, well, there's a bath at upstairs. You can have someone bring hot water to you. Quesh says, thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take that meal now and then head up to my room to rest. All right. And the bartender goes back, and a few minutes later brings him his meal. And Quesh begins eating it. Now, let's see. Is anyone going to approach Quesh? He's clearly out of his element here. Is anyone going to approach him? 50-50. No one approaches him. They all keep their distance away from this smelly human who's dirty and disheveled. Quesh eats his meal and gets his key and heads up to bed and rests for the night. I think he's probably going to spend the next day resting. He's had a long travel time. It was 5, so he's been traveling for 10 days total. And he's going to take the rest of the day, the next day, to sort of rest and sleep. Now, in that time, these people who are following him, how close are they? Did they lose time? Did they make up time? Remember, we're on a D. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go down to a D6, and we're going to roll it. 1 to 3 is 1 day. 4 to 6 is 2 days. If I get 4 to 6, then we're going to move back up to the D4. So they are now 1 day behind him. They managed to make up some time. But how well are they tracking him? Let's see. It's Chaos Factor 6. Are they tracking him, or are they... I'm going to say, are they tracking him? I'm going to say it's likely, so 75 and under. Yes, they are tracking him. So, they are tracking him. They're 1 day behind. Quesh is taking the next day to rest, which means that they will probably be entering the city at the same time as he's in the city. So, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so Quesh made it to a city. It's an elvish city that, let him in, and he found himself in a very nice tavern that is clearly out of his element, but he's getting some rest. He's going to be able to recover a little bit, even though he hasn't suffered any damage, but he should be able to at least maybe trade in those gems that he has and get the experience points for it. And we're going to do that in the next session. So until then, save a seat for me at your table.